So our 2024-2025 season previews continue on yet again today with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the Blue Jackets are another one of those teams. They're in that rebuild stage. Kind of all I have to say about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, they are in the thick of the rebuild. There were a few years prior where they were kind of trying to contend, but they really couldn't do it. But this seems like, I wouldn't say the first year of the rebuild, but under this new regime, they're clearly trying to kind of get rid of a lot of the old pieces and build a new future. So in 21-22, which is where we'll start with this, they went 37, 38, and 7 for 81 points. They were 21st in the NHL. So they were competitive for a little bit. They were only a game below 500, so you got to give credit to them there. They worked hard, but obviously it was not good enough to make the playoffs. In 22-23 was when things got really bad. They went 25, 48, and 9 for 59 points. They were 31st in the NHL. I remember one of the things that I said about that season when it happened was that, honestly, anything that could have gone wrong for the Blue Jackets went wrong for the Blue Jackets. It was overall a horrible year. They had horrible luck. It was not a lot of fun. In 23-24, things got a little bit better, but the picture was painted of what this team was going to be for the next couple of years. They won 27, 43, and 12 for 66 points. They were 29th in the NHL. They decided to fire Jarmo Kekalainen after nearly 12 years of being the Blue Jackets general manager. They decided to fire Pascal Vincent, as well as that too later on in the offseason. And additionally, they hired Don Waddell as their GM, former GM of the Hurricanes, and Dean Evason as the head coach not too long ago, about a month ago, which is pretty recent when you look at it in terms of NHL coaches and when they get hired. So, yes, this Blue Jackets team made a lot of changes off the ice, and I would expect for a lot of changes to happen on the ice in the coming seasons. But they already started this past year. Their key departures: Alex Texier, Jake Bean, Adam Boqvist, Alex Nylander, and Patrick Laine. So Laine, the most recent one. Again, I could talk about Laine forever. I made a video on the Laine trade to Montreal about a week or two ago. If you want to go look at that, you can. But anyways, as of right now, he is no longer a Columbus Blue Jacket. Additionally, to the other guys, Nylander I thought they'd keep around. I was kind of shocked they didn't, because he kind of went on a little bit of a heater when he was with the Jackets. But I guess they don't want to keep him around on that roster as of right now. They let go of some of the other guys too, just guys that couldn't really make the lineup, especially guys like Boqvist and Bean, who have been trying to get in there. But this decor you're going to see is loaded with, I wouldn't say highly skilled defenders, but definitely highly paid contracts. Can't deny that whatsoever. And then obviously they did bring in some guys. They brought in Sean Monahan, Jack Johnson, and Jordan Harris as part of the Laine deal. So Monahan was solely for Gaudreau. Monahan, a good friend of Johnny Gaudreau. They played together in Calgary. It makes a ton of sense. I can't sit here and make up any other reason. They get deeper down the middle, I guess, because he's probably your first-line center already. And, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You want him there to help mentor Johnny, and at least because Johnny had one of the worst offensive seasons he's ever had in his career this past year. So hopefully Monahan coming over, giving him some chemistry, can make things a little bit better for Johnny Gaudreau in Columbus. That's the only way that I can explain that contract, to be honest with you. You also have Johnson, depth defenseman, and then Jordan Harris is a guy that will fit in well in your third pairing most likely. That's about all I can see him doing, to be honest with you. But regardless, not a lot of moves here for the Blue Jackets. They didn't make a lot of moves that were really eye-openers to you. I guess the Laine trade, but they didn't really get a lot back in return for that. Mainly because, obviously, they wanted to get rid of the entire contract in full and not have to pay any of it down the road. So, good on Columbus for doing that. It wouldn't surprise me if we see more moves like that in the distant future. But anyways, as of right now, heading into 24-25, this team's lineup probably goes as follows, per the Hockey News. Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, Yegor Chinakhov, first pairing, and then Boone Jenner, Adam Fantilli, Kirill Marchenko, second line. Not a terrible top six. We'll see how Monahan and Gaudreau do. Again, as I said, Monahan was brought in to help Gaudreau. We'll see how those two guys chemistry together. Obviously, too, Chinnikov, Marchenko, Fantilli, numerous young players that are still a part of that future. There's a lot of people expecting for Fantilli to have a huge sophomore season. I wouldn't be surprised. I watched Fantilli a lot last year. I watched him in person last year. He's a very special player, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to do in the NHL in the future in his career. Apart from that, though, the top six definitely is going to need a lot of tweaks, and this whole forward core is going to need a lot of tweaks as well. Your bottom six, you have Dmitry Voronkov, Cole Sillinger, Kent Johnson. You have Justin Danforth, Sean Corrali, and Matthew Olivier as your fourth line. And then for some extras, you have Malatesta and Luca Del Belluz. Yeah, that third line, I want to start off with that first. That is a young line. Voronkov came in midway through the season. Actually looked impressive. Looked like a guy. Well, he didn't come in midway through, but he came at the start of the season. One of those rookies on one of those teams that kind of just popped off out of nowhere and had a pretty good year. We'll see if Voronkov can transition into that down the road. But again, sometimes guys like that, they'll have one really good season and then they'll kind of just tamper off the rest of their career. Hopefully Voronkov isn't like that, but obviously that's something you got to keep in the back of your mind. Guys like Cole Sillinger and Kent Johnson are in need of two big, major make-or-break years. I think the contracts that they were just signed to, Kent Johnson being a 3-year contract, Sillinger being a 2-year, are prove-it deals, honestly. Because if these don't work out, both of these players will probably be traded or just let go. I do think that Kent Johnson will bounce back. There's no way you put up numbers like that in Michigan and in your rookie season and you have a bad year like that. There's no way. I think he's going to have a bounce-back season for sure. I think we could see a pretty good year out of him. If we get a 40-point, maybe even 50-point year out of him, I consider that a win. If he's a consistent NHLer, I consider that a win as well. Again, there were a lot of things that Pascal Vincent didn't particularly sit well in the locker room. We saw that a lot with Laine. And it's become clear that maybe some of these young guys were affected by Vincent, like Juracek, Johnson, Sillinger, Fantilli. You know, and listen, I've heard things about saying that Vincent's a nice guy and he's done good things. Sometimes locker rooms don't work for everyone. That's kind of where I envision this, at least as of right now. But again, under Dean Evason, who knows how to mentor young guys, I think that this could be an exciting team to watch this coming year. I'm not saying they're going to be terrific, but they still could be pretty exciting to watch. And some of these rookies definitely need to have big seasons. Again, the fourth line, grit. That's kind of more or less what it is. Danforth, we'll see what he can do. I'm sure we'll see Malatesta get some time. Del Belluz has been in the system for so long. I'm not 100% sure if he'll get time, but we shall see. Their defensive core goes as follows, and you're going to see what I mean when I say that there were a lot of guys who couldn't crack the lineup, hence them leaving. Zach Werenski, Damon Severson, first pairing. Ivan Provorov, David Juracek, second pairing. Jordan Harris and Eric Gudbranson, third pairing. And then Denton Mateychuk is your extra defenseman. Not going to lie to you, it wouldn't surprise me, and they were rumored to be doing this at the trade deadline. It wouldn't surprise me if we see one of those defensemen, that being Severson or Provorov or Gudbranson, get moved. Because you have so many defenders in there signed to kind of long-term contracts, and honestly, those guys, they're not a part of this future. Besides Zach Werenski, I don't think Severson, Provorov, or any of them are a part of this current future that the Blue Jackets are trying to build. Maybe because of those contracts, they'll be there for a long time. But again, I don't know if they necessarily fit the timeline. And someone like Mateychuk, who had a really good training camp last year, again, it wouldn't surprise me if they try and flip one of those guys. But again, we're hoping to see good years from Harris, who came in from Montreal this past year. We'll see what he can do. Juracek, hopefully he stays a consistent NHLer. If he is, I consider that a win. If we can get Mateychuk up there for some games as well, I consider that a win as well. And I think, honestly, if you can get more of the younger players into the lineup and get them developing, I think this team's in a good spot for the time being. Your goalie tandem is Merzlikins and Tarasov. Again, they will try to move Merzlikins. They will try to move him. I don't think it happens because of that contract, but they're going to try. They're definitely going to be trying to do that within the next couple of years. We didn't think they could move Korpisalo, and the Senators ended up doing that. So anything's possible, to be honest with you. I know that's a different story, but anything is possible. So we'll see what happens there. But again, Columbus this year, it's going to be painful. They're going to be last in the division again. They're probably going to be bottom 5 in the NHL again. But you just got to hope that a few years down the road, with those very loyal fans that they do have there, because their attendance was really good this year despite them not being so good. Hopefully with that, some of these young guys can perform well. Caden Lidstrom comes over and excels. They get another top 5 or top 3 pick in 2025. But obviously, at least as of right now, it's all up in the dark. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. Next one we are doing is the Dallas Stars. I got to pre-record a lot of those videos because I'm going away for the weekend. So if they are a little bit outdated and something does happen, you guys know what to do. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.